Welcome to the end of year gathering for 2015. It is Annie's and my last official duty in our roles as head boy and head girl, and we're really grateful to have had the opportunity to give back to this school, a school which has given us so much. It's only fitting that we've been given the chance to use this time as an opportunity to reflect, share and celebrate what has made our time so memorable at this wonderful school.
The focus of our reflection this year is our recently adopted 2015 Quaker testimony of Earthcare. The sculpture, hanging above the stage, was created by Year 10 art students, art staff, especially Nick Maxwell, and a Quaker in residence, Lloyd Godwin. Lloyd is an ecological artist whose work currently focuses on living plant sculptures as a way to make environmentally positive art. The sculpture is named Spicy, an acronym using the first letter of the Australian Quaker testimonies: simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and earthcare, and was made to commemorate the formal adoption of the sixth testimony.
This gathering serves as an opportunity to share and celebrate what is central to our school and to come together in stillness. It is for this reason that we ask you to refrain from applause throughout tonight's gathering. Stillness serves as a means for the whole community to gather in serenity by peacefully coming in touch with your thoughts and taking time away from your day. My name is Alex, and this is Meg, and we're your head boy and head girl for 2016. We're excited about the upcoming challenges and experiences that we will face over the coming year, and we'll ensure to face them with passion and dedication.
The same passion and dedication that Annie and Luke have shown throughout the time in their role, we hope to use as a foundation for our attitudes towards our responsibilities next year. We hope that tonight's gathering will serve as a time for our community to reflect upon the year we've just had and the year that is to come, and to celebrate what is intrinsic to our school. Please use this stillness as an opportunity to reflect and learn more about what we are.
Reading of the Quaker Earthcare statement, we intersperse with small groups of Year 6 students who have reflected on their learning from the Year 6 exhibition. This year, exhibition was under the transdisciplinary theme of sharing the planet, and students will share their connections and perspectives of the Earthcare statement and their learning. The produce of Earth is a gift from our gracious Creator to the inhabitants, and to impoverish the earth now to support outward greatness appears to be an injury to the succeeding age. John Moorman, 1720 to 1772.
I'm so confused. How will I care for the earth, but I don't know what action I need to take? Education is important for us all, to learn knowledge and skills to make informed decisions.
Everyone has the right to an equal education, regardless of race or gender. I wish everyone in the world held this perspective and helped make this happen.
We collected pencils and handballs and donated them to a school in Africa. We hope that this will enable children to learn, read, write and play. This small action will change lives.
We find delight in the grace of creation and are humbled by the richness of its gifts. Our very existence depends upon sustaining our intimate relationships with nature. Yet much has been harmed or lost forever through our lack of reverence, our ignorance, denial, waste and ill-considered action. We have set ourselves against the spirit. We have ignored our interconnectedness with all other living things, weakened our own well-being, and we have diminished the opportunity for fair livelihood.
Knowledge informs our decisions. An area the size of 36 football fields is cut down every day. As humans, it's our responsibility to protect our forests.
But what about the animals? Did you know nine species of animals have become extinct over the last 50 years as a direct result of deforestation? We need animals to maintain our ecosystems.
Our needs for timber and our wants for greater urbanisation are causing creating pressure. This means greater deforestation. Is this greed? Is this the attitude you want to display to others?
Deforestation is one of the direct causes of global warming. We are lucky to have scientists that are working on this worldwide problem.
Our group took action. We planted trees to home native birds to show how small actions can make a big difference in this world.
Once our lack of care caused limited damage. Now our thoughtlessness endangers whole ecosystems and even the entire biosphere through global warming, pollution, destruction of habitats, and accelerated extinction of species. We also acknowledge that wars, poverty, and overconsumption are part of this spiral of destruction.
All waterways lead to the sea. Therefore, the decisions and actions we take will affect the community on a large scale.
Everyone's life is linked to the waterways of the world. We all have a responsibility to keep it clean for future generations.
We took action. We cleaned up the polluted Derwent River and our local beach to keep this clean for future generations.
We seek to transform this culture of domination and exploitation, of false witness and idolatry, and instead develop a culture of caring for the planet, preparing for future generations of living things, and honouring God's gifts. Each of us must now strive to live a just life, which values the air, the waters, the soil, living things, and the processes sustaining all life.
The ocean is one of our largest producers of food. It is critical for both sea animal and human life. We visited CSIRO, where people are trying to save some of our most fragile marine species.
But 85% of our global fish stocks are being exploited in some way. Some stocks are lost forever. I agree it's our responsibility to keep our oceans sustainable for the future. It is incredibly important to create sustainable fisheries for the longevity of this natural resource.
We visit local fisheries all around Tasmania and learn the importance of sustainable fishing practices and the need to keep our oceans clean. The decisions we make and the actions we take today will have a huge impact on our future.
Given the extent of the crisis and the need for transformative change, despair and fear are likely to arise in us all at some stage. We can be set free in the spirit to live our lives in radically different ways. We are called to consider the world as an inspirited whole, to accept no boundary in repairing and sustaining the earth for the future, and to appreciate more deeply, more fully, the creative energy in all living things and life processes. We seek to mend what has been hurt and to strengthen our courage to discern and bear witness to this spiritual care for the earth, our home.
Let's build communication. Countries have an obligation to work together to find peaceful solutions to save our earth.
The world has been shaped by the actions of generations. Now we are destroying it. Together we can make positive changes for the future through sharing expertise, resources and collective knowledge.
Through our actions of writing positive messages to our sister schools around the world, we aim to strengthen our relationship, building friendships and the shared understanding of the need to communicate globally.
Talking to people in other countries and looking for solutions to issues will help us grow. Alone we survive, but together we thrive.
Friends are not alone on this journey. We must listen to the call of creation, recognise and respect the profound knowledge of our Indigenous peoples, and learn from scientific understanding. We will work with those many already engaged who make the links between religious belief, lifestyle, social justice and peace. We commit to demanding costly implications of radically changed ways of living. Let us do so out of joy, celebration, reverence, and a deep love of life.
been asked to talk about our concerns for the environment and our hope for the future. Why us? We are either the elected Environment Committee representatives or supporters of environmental concerns. We have focused on 3 concerns that are most pressing to us at present: plastic, carbon emissions, and rising sea level. Plastic is taking over our lives. 80% of all plastic bottles are not recycled, and in a week the US buys enough plastic bottles to circle the Earth 5 times. The plastic that does go into landfill takes centuries to break down. This is a major issue, especially coming up to the festive season. Many toys and other gifts are made to break within the first 3 years of manufacture. These items will be put into landfill. If we were to use the oil for making plastic bottles for fueling cars instead, then we could power 1 million cars each year. When plastic toys are thrown out, they can end up here, in the Pacific garbage patch. Birds and other marine animals, such as turtles, believe these vortexes contain food and eat small pieces of plastic that float around the edge. This leads to malnutrition and eventually death. This brings us to our beautiful turtle the Year 2's made. This turtle is made from plastic that has probably saved many lives. If more people think like this for our future, our next generations will not have to worry as much. We can do a lot to change this, as Richard will tell you now.
Thanks, Anna. This is clearly a huge problem, but there's a lot we're doing now to solve it, and a lot we can do in the future. Right now at school, we have recycling bins, etc., but the good work doesn't stop at school. It extends into our community. Many of us use the council recycling bins and opt for products that have less packaging, but we often don't realise that there are many other small things that we can do to make a huge difference. The first thing we can do is simply buy less plastic. It's as simple as buying food in glass jars, using a refillable drink bottle, or bringing your own reusable container to takeaway shops. But the hardest thing to do, especially at this time of year, is to avoid plastic toys. Just like bottles and plastic bags, toys can end up in landfill or waterways, taking years to break down and causing major environmental issues. The festive season doesn't have to be about buying and giving. It's about family and being together. So perhaps reconsider that plastic doll's house or Batman figurine and opt for something more lasting and environmentally friendly.
In recent years, Australia has been the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide per person. This puts our country as the 17th biggest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world. Greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, water vapour and nitrous oxide all play a role in rising global temperatures, with the biggest contributing factor being carbon dioxide. These gases trap the heat from the sun into the Earth's atmosphere, causing our atmosphere to be constantly heating. This is what we know to be global warming, and sees our global temperature rise 2 to 6 degrees just within this century. This rise in temperature will not only affect us humans, but the plants, animals, and the environment around us. However, it is believed that if we cut the amount of greenhouse gases that are being produced as of today, then the effect of global warming can be reduced for the future.
You are probably thinking by now, what are we going to do to stop further destruction of our beautiful planet? In fact, the school, along with the Environment Committee, are considering ways that we can decrease our carbon footprint as a school and a community in general. Some of these ideas have come out of these discussions have been to turn off lights when they're not being used, the recycling bins, as Richard mentioned, and to promote walking or riding to school, and being personally aware and enacting change in how we treat our environment. Now, looking at the wider view, a number of you are probably aware and have heard about the recent People's Climate Marches happening around the world prior to the Paris Climate Summit that is currently underway in Paris. The Paris Climate Summit 2015 is where leaders from around the world have gathered to determine what actions can be taken to limit the damage that global warming is doing. French President Francis Hollande said in his opening speech, "Never have the stakes of an international meeting been so high because it concerns the future of the planet, the future of life. The hope of all humanity rests on all of your shoulders." About 4,000 people turned out in Hobart on Sunday. I hope that some of you were able to show your support for this cause and enjoy the atmosphere of people working together for a common cause. Adelaide released a plan to make Adelaide the world's first carbon neutral city. And I thought the Kangaroo March had a very appropriate message, which was, from coal to caps, to wind and sun, the power shift has begun. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
Another problem for the environment in the future is rising sea levels. At the moment, scientists predict that they will rise by half a metre by 2100 in a best-case scenario. Estimates for a worst-case scenario vary, but are hypothesising a rise in sea levels by as much as 6.4 metres by 2100. This may seem not at all threatening for cities, homes, beaches or other developments, but if you think about it, even a small increase in sea levels could have pretty bad consequences. If water sometimes floods into cities during storms now, what if the sea levels were a little higher? It would result in more damage. Now, around 80% of Australians live on or very near the coast. Some cities are close to sea level. For example, the Gold Coast is on average only 13 metres above sea level. But this is also an international issue. Around a third of the Netherlands, New Orleans and parts of Bangkok are actually below sea level. There will be more storms of a stronger severity as our seas continue to warm, and a big storm on top of a high tide would do a significant amount of damage for these cities. The more sea levels rise, the more problems can occur. You can see here, this is what continents would look like if all the ice melted. In this instance, cities such as New York and a lot of California and New Orleans are just simply underwater. This shows parts of Europe, Amsterdam, Venice, Stockholm, Copenhagen, all gone underwater. We've gained an inland lake, and parts of areas like Adelaide and many capital cities and coastal areas are gone, including areas up in Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. Even in the more northern parts of Asia, many cities have still been lost and an awful lot of land area. Antarctica is pretty bad because as the more ice is built up, the land's being pushed down below sea level. So much of the land would simply disappear. However, if we act soon, the amount sea levels rise can be reduced.
Through part of the curriculum and co-curricular activities offered to the students at Friends, the Environment Committee works towards the goals of the purposes and concerns statement of the Friends School. Our reduction of waste through our new 3-tiered waste disposal system at Friends has greatly reduced the school's environmental impact. The recycling bins have been such a success with staff and students that by the first day of school next year, they will have also been rolled out to the Morris campus, with hopes to extend that to all campuses by 2017. At the last Environment Committee meeting for this year, we decided that we would apply to become an Eco Schools Australia accredited Green Flag School. This global community increases awareness and action of environmental issues amongst schools. Friends' reduction of waste and energy contributes on a local scale to the major problem of global warming, which results in the rise of sea levels amongst many other issues. However, the greatest thing that Friends can do, and does do, is to help its students into becoming people who care about the environment, care about the impact that they have on our planet, and to make decisions that will contribute to a better future for all. We will now hear from Year 2's fantastic examples of the awareness our students have of the environment with their item, "If you're feeling cool today, dress hot."
Earlier this evening, the Religious Society of Friends, the Quakers in Australia, affirmed their testimony on Earthcare at the annual yearly meeting held in Melbourne in January 2015. As noted in the program, Quakers have long held care for the earth as a core belief. John Woolman, an American Quaker, stated in 1770, also as we heard earlier, "The produce of the earth is a gift from our precious Creator to the inhabitants, and to impoverish the earth now to support outward greatness appears to be an injury to the succeeding age." Not all Quakers, however, at that time shared this belief. Many of the most successful whalers from the early part of the 19th century that led to the near extinction of whales also were Quaker. They felt that whales were a gift from God to be used on behalf of man. Philadelphia Yearly Meetings Faith and Practice book offers the following in the section entitled Walking Gently on the Earth. We recognize that the well-being of the earth is a fundamental spiritual concern. From the beginning, it was through the wonders of nature that people saw God. How we treat the earth and its creatures is a basic part of our relationship with God. Our planet as a whole, not just the small parts of it in our immediate custody, requires responsible attention. As friends become aware of the interconnectedness of all life on this planet and the devastation caused by the neglect of any part of it, we have become more willing to extend our sense of community to encompass all living things. Friends are indeed called to walk gently on the earth. Wasteful and extravagant consumption is a major cause of destruction of the environment. The world cannot tolerate indefinitely the present rate of consumption. Friends are asked to become models and patterns of simple living and concern for the earth. Voluntarily simplicity in living holds the promise of ecological redemption and spiritual renewal. As we've heard from the students here at the Friends School, we seek to put this guidance into practice on a daily basis so that we too can walk gently on the earth.